wondering if everyone is used to this new year, 2012. Are you used to writing that on your checks by now? It took me a little while, but not too long this year, because somehow 12 is such an important number. Don't you feel that too? That 12 is a number of fulfillment, of growth and development. There's such a promise that goes with 12. I just love it. So I don't know that much about numerology as yet, but I do know simple things about the numbers. And 12, 1 and 2 make 3. 3 is this wonderful divine number of completion. It is this number that we often think of, oh, it's the Trinity. Well, yes, but the Trinity was always taught to us as something outside of us. But we are included in the Trinity. We are. And so it is one of the most beautiful numbers. And so then we say, well, how many 3s are there in 12? There are 4 of them. Wow. And then we can look at the number 4. And how many 4s are there in 12? There's 3. It is so beautiful. I just get so excited when I think about this, because the number 4 is a number of balance and energy. It's a number that will build a foundation for us. So like the 4 corners of a building. We're doing our 5 principles. This is like a little series we're doing here. Why? Because we are building a foundation for our lives. Well, I said 5 principles, so how do we get that down to 4? Well, actually, I look at that first principle. There is only one presence and one power as the universe and as my life, God the good. That is the principle, the foundation statement that stands in the middle of the foundation, and the other 4 are the supporting ones around it. Now, this idea of God everywhere, God present in everything, was something that our forebears knew. They just accepted this. They saw Spirit in action everywhere. This was also something that in between the ministry of Jesus and the development of the early church, this was an accepted belief. God in everything. But then something happened. In 325 AD, it all changed. Now suddenly, God wasn't everywhere. Now God had a place. And the place was up there above the sky. Jesus also, that whole concept of Jesus changed. About why he came, what he was about, what his life was about. And it seems that his teachings were ignored. And maybe that's for another lesson. But this idea then of God as being separate from us became so ingrained in us. And we began to accept it. As children, tell me, didn't you accept that? Of course you did. Because it was given to us as gospel truth. So yes, this idea of this power, this God, this being, this supernatural person that sat way above and was separated from its creation and then wrote in a book about all our behaviors. That is a childhood idea. But I'm going to add, it's also a childish idea. It needs to go. What we do here is called God for grown-ups. I didn't make that up. That was Ellen Davenport, one of our Unity ministers, who said that. And then she has also said that, isn't it interesting and wonderful that science and spirituality, cosmology, have given us back this idea of oneness, the God in everything. I find that this idea is not too prevalent in the world. It isn't, is it? No. No, we don't see God as the stars. We don't see God in trees and flowers, animals and people. And yet, that's the way it is, that this power is in everything. It was John Shelby Spong, the author. Anyone ever read a book by John Shelby Spong, the Episcopal bishop? If you have not read one, we have them in our bookstore. I say read one. This is a man that is so interesting because at the same time that he tears Christianity apart, lovingly, he believes in it. He's a part of it. And maybe I don't want to be quite so harsh to say tear it apart. Maybe he takes it apart to look at it, to explore it. But he is still a part of it. Why? Because he wants to change his church from the inside. A monumental task. I have spoken to him many times when he has spoken at unity conventions. He loves unity. So of course the question is, well, why don't you come join us then? No, he has this work to do. And yes, it is a monumental task, but he has given his whole life to this task. I admire this man so much. Maybe it's because I can't do anything like that. I couldn't do anything like that. What I found was that this belief that didn't hold any truth or value for me anymore, I just up and left it. He's not doing that. He gives us a concept of God, a concept of theism. He tells us what theism is. So theism, this concept then says that there is this power that dwells outside the world. This power has the miraculous ability to invade the world whenever it wants to. Sometimes to bless, sometimes to punish, sometimes to just turn things upside down. This is a God of duality. This is a God, we find this God, this concept, in the Old Testament. Because this is a God that can sometimes be loving and sometimes be hateful. A God that can sometimes be peaceful, sometimes warlike and seeking revenge. This is a God that has, yes, answered prayers, but maybe not. This is a God that comes to the aid of poor, weak human beings. And then again, maybe not. And this concept, this theistic God, is part of a larger duality. That there is a power that opposes this God. It is called the devil or Satan. And it also has a place. It's down there somewhere. I don't know where that would be, but that goes along with this theistic concept of God that, by the way, is also patriarchal. This is a God that is He. We don't use that word here because God is not a He. So you can see how this idea of worshiping an external God has been so ingrained in Christianity that anybody who even dares to believe differently, who dares to raise an opposing opinion, is labeled as an atheist, a heathen, maybe part of the Antichrist, whatever. You ever had anything like that put on you? A label? Oh yeah, well, so have I. And it's okay. You know, it's okay because we know who we are. But this whole idea has also invaded our culture. The Western culture is this whole idea of a theistic God. And so if you went out on the street and you just asked maybe 10 people, I would imagine that maybe all 10 of those people, if you asked them where God was, oh, up there. I would say, I don't know the percentage, but I'm going to say 95% of all people believe that in our Western culture. Eastern people think differently. And that is why I think we gravitate toward Eastern religions. They don't see this power as something that watches us from a distance. They see this power as something that we are immersed in. What a difference. Immersed in this power. And it was Paul in the Bible that caught this. And he said, yes, in this power we live and move and have our being. We are a part of it. So we look at these 5 principles. And these 5 principles are challenging every aspect of theism. Every aspect. The aspect of God, what God is, where God is, what we are as human beings, and how God and human beings relate. The 5 principles challenge how prayer works. They challenge how we are to live in this world. This is truly God for grown-ups. Now I think we need to go on to the 2nd principle. And that 2nd principle says, our very essence is God. Therefore, we are inherently good. I just want you to take that in for a moment. Our very essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. What does that do to the idea that we came here flawed and sinful? Okay, and then it goes on to say, that God essence that we know as the Christ was fully expressed in Jesus. Fully expressed in Jesus. So now we say that we have science and spirituality and cosmology and all these wonderful discoveries that tell us that we are actually the expressions of this power and that we are stardust. We are stardust. We are made of the same elements as the stars. I don't know about supernovas exploding. I don't know a whole lot about that. But I know that a long, long time ago, there were supernovas exploding that sent these elements into our galaxy. Need I say any more of that? I better not, because I don't have really the knowledge. If someone else wants to stand up and say something about it, feel free. However, I think the important point here is that we are expressions of this power. And we are way more than we have ever thought ourselves to be. We need to begin to put our minds around this. We need to quit struggling with the idea of this theistic God. There is that fear in the back of our minds. Anytime that we have been told something as a child, we take it in and we accept it. That's what good children do. And so there still, for many of us, is this fear in the back of our mind, well, what if that is right? All you have to do is look at science and what it will tell you. That's all you have to do. Or maybe you could also look at the masters that have come to tell us otherwise, that have come to tell us that we are a part of this. Maybe all you would have to do would be to put your hand on your own heart and realize that you can't beat that heart. There is something within you that does that. You can't make your lungs go. You can't make your organs function. There's something within you that does that. We are expressions of this power. We are co-creators with our Creator. And we have the power to bring the invisible realm into the visible. We have the power to mold this invisible with our thoughts, our words, our feelings, and our actions. This is prosperity thinking, right? Yes, it is. We have that power to do that. But now, this is the time of year when we all have that urge to be new. And in our prosperity class, this is a new and abundant life that we're after. Well, not only in the class, we're after it everywhere. Why not? We can have it. So why wouldn't we be after it? Why wouldn't we be seeking that life? And so when we do, we now become intentional. We now, because you see, we create all the time, whether we know it or not. We are always drawing this substance into our lives, but not always in the way we want. And now we become intentional. And now we become conscious, deliberate creators. And we walk into the unknown with confidence, knowing that we can claim whatever it is we want. How different this idea is from the old theistic God. And now we know that we are divine. Does it bother you to say that? I am divine. Because that's what we are. So the best way that I know to describe it is something that's been told to us over and over again. But I'm going to say it again. We are like a wave in God Ocean. Each wave is distinct but yet changing all the time. We are in the flow. And so we are not God Ocean. We are not all that God is, but we are made of the same qualities. We have the same attributes. We are in the flow of the divine. I could go on forever. I could, but I can't do that because I know that here we are in a sort of hour space, and we always go a little beyond that. So I would like to close with something that comes from the book of Thomas. Do you know that was the gospel of Thomas that never got into the Bible? And I find that so interesting because these are sayings of Jesus. And it's not that he doesn't say these in other parts of the Bible, in other Gospels. He does. But I love the way he says it in this one. The kingdom is inside of you, but it is also outside of you. It's not a place, except that it is a place in consciousness. And the kingdom outside of you is how you perceive the world and everything in it. When you come to know yourselves, do we know ourselves? Do we know we are divine? He says, when you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. You see, we are really equipped to building the kingdom of heaven. It's all there in perfection within us, but we're building our awareness of it, and we do it one choice at a time. Every choice that you make in your daily life, you're building the kingdom within you. The awareness that we have is not enough. We are like adolescents. We need to grow, because truly this is God for grown-ups. And you and I are included in this. We are equipped. We make our choices. We come to this every day. We're building our souls. And so here's what I want to pass on to you, what I want to give to you, to take out of here today. There is a great truth here. And you and I, our job is to revive that truth. Why are we so fearful? Why are we so afraid to put our truth forward? We don't have to be. We don't have to be. It's a truth that serves the world. This is the truth of love. And we need to revive this, and we need to live it from the Christ of our being, from the I am of us, the spiritual identity of us. We are divine, we have this core, and we are truly magnificent. And then to know you are included. Isn't that wonderful? Namaste.
Namaste.